think maybe you need to explain how come you're still walking around free.
Well, I'm not dead yet, so.
No, really. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you've come out and been very vocal about it. Just it's a revelation to me that everything Snowden said was not an exaggeration, and that how come you're still okay? How come they haven't prosecuted you?
Well, because they're prosecuting. They would be prosecuting me for talking about the crimes they've committed. That would be a good trial.
Well, the point is they did try, and I want you to go into that a little.
Oh yeah, they did. They did try. They did try to do that. With me. I mean, 3 separate times they attempted to indict Kirk Wiebe, Ed Loomis, Tom Drake, and myself, and Diane Rourke. Basically because we were the 5 who filed the DOD IG complaint, and also were complaining about the unconstitutional program of Stellar Wind, which is domestic spying. And so we were primary targets, and they wanted to silence us, and they would do it any way they could. That's why they tried to frame us, right? They were concocting evidence to accuse us of a conspiracy and indict us under that. But I, of course, found exculpatory data and evidence of malicious prosecution on the part of the Department of Justice of the United States. And they were willfully doing this, okay? And I had evidence of that. And so I called Tom Drake and told him about it over the phone, because I knew his phone was tapped. I wanted to get that knowledge to the DOJ that I was going to charge them. Once they charged us in court, I was going to countercharge them with malicious prosecution with evidence. And I laid out the evidence over the phone to Tom, because I knew the FBI guy was listening, and he would pass it on to the DOJ, and they in fact did that. And then a month later, they gave us letters of immunity. So they dropped the charges, yeah. But in the meantime, there was somebody over at the DOJ who felt so bad about what they were trying to do to us that he smuggled out and gave a copy of the draft indictment they had against us to us. It eventually got to us through the channels. So, so there were good people over there. They just couldn't stomach the corruption and unconstitutional activity and the illegal activity of the people in this administration, and the previous one too.
Yeah, I just ran a story maybe 10 days ago with an unattributed quote from a DOJ lawyer, and I forget the exact text of it, but it was something to the effect that it's really bad over here. I have to be really careful in keeping my identity anonymous, but because it's really bad was the exact quote. And so,
well, that's because of this domestic spying. Everything you do, if you have anything electronic, it's a signature, and they can get to it.
Okay. Okay. Now I just wanted to go into this question about where this line should be drawn, because as I was saying earlier at lunch, that sovereign nations. I'm real big on national sovereignty. I'm all for American sovereignty, Chinese sovereignty, Chilean sovereignty. I think that's what the separation of powers concept on the international level is. It's the independent power of nation states. And so that's absolutely important to me, to protect that sovereignty, and that's in essence what human freedom is on the international level is all about. That's just as important as the separation of powers concept in the United States. And so how do we, where's the line here? Because nations need their secrets.
Well, in my mind, that's pretty easy to define, because our Constitution does that for us. I mean, we have the right to privacy under the Fourth Amendment, right to the freedom from interference of the government in our affairs. And we have the right to free association under the First Amendment, and we have the right not to testify against us under the Fifth, right? So those are the primary ones I'm concerned about with this spying. One, because in the First Amendment it says you have the right to free association. Well, when NSA collects all of the phone data and the email data showing who you email and who you phone call, that then tells them who you're associated with. So that would map out the entire Tea Party for the IRS to target, or would map out the entire Occupy group for any local police force to do, or it would map out any kind of religious organization trying to set up or get active in political affairs, It would show the entire association that they were trying to pull together to make that happen. So that's a direct violation of the First Amendment, because it doesn't say, you know, you have the right to free association as long as NSA knows it, okay? That's not the point. The point is you have the right to free association without the government knowing. And under the Fourth Amendment, it says you have the right to privacy, which is not when they take in the phone calls, record them, or transcribe them. That's not privacy. Or if they take your emails, that's not privacy. They're getting in your affairs, and they're accumulating it over time. So in the Fifth Amendment says that you have the right not to testify against yourself. Well, when they take in your emails and your phone calls, they're listening to you testify against yourself. So it's a violation of that one. So, you know, these things are all violations of the constitutional rights that are the foundation of this government.
So when the government itself is doing illegal things, then it's okay to break oaths of involved in security clearances?
There's no oath in a security clearance. It's a non-disclosure agreement.
Oh.
The oath is to defend the Constitution.
Right.
That's the oath. And everybody takes the oath to defend the Constitution. They don't take an oath to not disclose security things. That's a non-disclosure agreement.
Huh. And
by the way, under Executive Order 13526, Section 1.7, where it deals with, that's the executive order that deals with classification for the United States government, any evidence of a crime, corruption, fraud, waste, or abuse cannot be classified. You can't use classification to cover it up. You can't maintain it classified, and you cannot not declassify it, because if it fits into any of those categories, that's a violation of that regulation. So a lot of things that Snowden was showing were violations of the constitutional rights of U.S. citizens. And they were doing it all in secret, by the way, even though they claimed it was legal. That's why they had to give retroactive immunity to the telecoms for all the crimes they were committing, right? So they're still claiming it's all legal, but it's not constitutional. Well, I maintain it's not legal either, because once it's challenged constitutionally, if it is found to be unconstitutional, then no law can authorize an unconstitutional act. That in turn is unconstitutional, and therefore it's a violation of law, as well as the Constitution.
That clears that up in my own mind. Something you said here. How deep do you think this goes into the local police forces? How much access do they have?